Hello everyone, today I will tell you about the film Rubicon. Enjoy watching! Before watching, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. I'm trying to develop this channel, and your support is the only thing I have. By 2056, life on Earth has become impossible. People have brought the ecological situation to the limit. Fresh air is left only in the domes of rich capitalists. Corporations have seized power. They have replaced the government and used their own armies to redistribute resources and territories. The Dmitry Corporation is trying to save the ecological situation on the orbital station Rubicon. The main characters, Hannah and Gavin, are flying to the station. Suddenly, the automatic docking system fails. Visual contact is established at the last moment. They almost touch the solar batteries. Hannah has to switch to manual control to successfully dodge and dock. After successful parking, the dispatchers see a special implant behind Hannah's ear on the cameras, giving away a soldier of the corporation. The locals are surprised by this turn of events, but do not show it. The newcomers inspect the stations, gradually delving into the affairs. Along the way, the heroine talks to her sister via video link. She is also a soldier of the corporation. In the evening, when the entire crew gathered at one table to greet the replacements, Gavin, the son of wealthy parents, has a conflict with Danila, the son of Dr. Dmitry Krylov, the head of the Rubicon research mission. The emerging quarrel is interrupted by the news of a tragic incident on Earth with hundreds of dead. In search of contact with his family, Gavin leaves the company and goes to the analyzer of atmospheric phenomena, one of the most important devices on the station. Hannah follows him, but she cannot get any information. Dr. Krylov prepares those who have served their time to return home. Among other things, they have an important task: to deliver samples of maternal cultures capable of producing oxygen on an industrial scale. When they fly away from the station, there are only 3 people left on Rubicon. Hannah receives an order to launch a certain ICAR earlier than planned, within a couple of days. At the same time, she needs to maintain the secrecy of the event. The girl makes her way into the lab where she removes a protective cover from the wall. The appearance of the doctor distracts her from her work, but the conversation is interrupted by an alarm signal. The landing craft is in contact. It has lost contact with the ground, and the autopilot is out of order. Hannah tries to contact the control center, but there is silence on the air. Assuming that the antenna is out of order, the heroine puts on a spacesuit and goes into outer space for repair work. After checking the equipment, she hears how the uncontrollable ship crashes. When the connection is broken, the girl looks at the Earth spread out in the distance and sees how an expanding spot of clouds crawls across it, absorbing everything in its path. Where it passes, the night lights of the megalopolises go out. Returning to the station, Hannah tries to contact Earth, but no one answers. The girl checks the tablet, which has a new message from her sister. Her squad was mobilized for evacuation due to some emergency. Rubicon is floating in orbit right above the planet, over which clouds are tightening. She listens to the latest message, trying to get clues about the nature of the crimson fog. During the break, Hannah tries to take care of the doctor, who is experiencing the death of his son, and she herself cries from stress and worries about her sister. A few days later, Gavin receives data from the atmospheric analyzer. Hannah, having found an old radio station, calls him, but he does not respond. She sees through the surveillance cameras how the guy locks himself in the airlock and turns on the depressurization. Together with the doctor, Hannah runs to the door to save the guy. She tries to break the lock first, then the hand of the scientist who is interfering. After the air from the airlock has come out, he manages to turn it back on and open the door. Not right away, but they save the guy. In the medical unit, the doctor admits that he knows why Hannah came on board. She is a spy who must steal his work, algae samples, and the life support system. When Gavin comes to, he tells the others that, according to the analyzer, the red fog on the planet is toxic. This means that the entire population of the planet is already dead, and they are the last representatives of people. The doctor injects him with a sedative, and while Gavin sleeps, explains to Hannah that the algae symbiosis system works, so they will have something to breathe on Rubicon. Then she again has to go out into space to switch the wires. They manage to fix the connection, but there is silence on the air again. When Gavin comes to his senses once again, the survivors discuss their prospects. He does not want to remain within the walls of the orbital station for the rest of his life. However, Dr. Krylov explains that the symbiosis of oxygen-producing algae is designed for at least 3 people. 2 simply will not be able to produce enough carbon dioxide to maintain the system in equilibrium. This situation convinces the man to control himself and not to impose them on himself. Later, discussing the current situation with Gavin, Hannah complains that she spent too much time on career advancement. And now all her merits are worth nothing. She regrets that she did not indulge in entertainment enough. The conversation smoothly flows into love, and that in turn into a relationship. Soon the astronauts notice that the color of the algae has changed. Instead of uniform green, it has brown spots. Krylov takes samples for study. The crew indulges in drunkenness, drinking moonshine, which the doctor makes from the algae. Gavin learns that Hannah is a spy with a specific mission. They continue drinking, turning on music, and dancing in a drunken stupor. Hannah walks along the corridors, looking at the brown algae. The walk is interrupted by a radio signal. The survivors from the ground who are hiding in the bunker come on the line. The girl joyfully wakes up the others. Esther, a representative of the Nebra Corporation, talks to them. She, along with other top managers and their families, is in a protective bunker. There are 300 people there, but they are running out of oxygen and therefore need Dr. Krylov's system with samples of the mother culture. While the doctor studies the reddened algae, Gavin and Hannah have received the coordinates of the bunker and calculated how to land without an autopilot, precisely through a gap in the red fog. But Krylov refuses to take part in this adventure, despite the expelled preponderance of those in need of saving their lives. Even despite the fact that Hannah hopes to find her sister there, whose base was nearby. The situation is aggravated by the girl's health. She feels sick. The doctor takes blood for analysis. The result is surprising. The girl is pregnant, and the hormonal imbalance caused by this has affected the quality of urine, which serves as nutrient material for the algae. Even the soldiers' blocking of the reproductive system did not help. Due to the loss of communication, the implant simply failed. This becomes an additional incentive in preparing for the descent. Hannah is practicing in a simulator in manual control. Gavin wants to talk to her about the future child, but the girl believes that the fetus will die in flight or upon landing. Soon they are loading containers with samples. The doctor has to accept it and go with them. The heroes are preparing for launch when it turns out that the fuel tanks overheated before launch, and the temperature barriers deformed and jammed. Unable to start the engine, the crew returns to the station, where it turns out that the overheating occurred due to a failed cooling system. Gavin wants to disconnect the tanks to save the ship. He runs back, but Hannah finds him from the central control panel. The man looks out the porthole as his last chance to return home, flies away and explodes, scattering into hundreds of small fragments. Despite the fact that Hannah saved his life, Gavin does not want to talk to her. Later, the girl discusses with the doctor the prospect of giving birth on the station. At this time, Gavin, who is talking to the bunker, learns about ICAR, a cargo landing module that can be converted into a passenger module. He asks Hannah about it, being unhappy that she hid another opportunity to fly away from him. Despite the difference in the number of potentially saved lives, the girl is in no hurry to risk and descend on an uncontrolled module. Later, observing the growing mold, she finds evidence that the cooling system that led to overheating was turned off by Krylov. The girl forces the doctor to convert ICAR for passengers. However, the man tells the heroine that the corporate management sent her for a reason. They knew that the world was threatened by an apocalypse. During the next communication session with Esther, the crew says that they will launch the ICAR and go down with it. Hannah wants to talk to the military, but there are no soldiers in the bunker. Having delivered the management to the shelter, they were left to die outside. These words kill the heroine's last hope of finding her sister and completely change her attitude to matters of loyalty and duty. She does not want to save the corporation's management. Hannah cuts out the corporate implant with a stationary knife. Gavin locks himself in the cargo module, where he redesigns it for flight. He does not leave the girl and promises to open the door when he finishes setting it up. Inside, in addition to the tied-up Dr. Krylov, there are samples of maternal cultures. Having prepared the module, Gavin lets Hannah in and starts the countdown. All three sit in a chair, waiting for the fall, in which everything will be decided by chance. At the last moment, Hannah gets up and runs to the control panel. Gavin tries to stop her, but she twists his arm and cancels the launch, after which she breaks out the panel. The girl says that such a breakdown is unlikely to be fixed, and that she does not want to fly away from here. The guy leaves in a rage. Later, wandering around the ship, the heroine stumbles upon him in one of the docking airlocks. He pumped out all the air and suffocated. Hannah cries over the body of her lover, unable to change anything. She and the doctor bury their comrade in misfortune. Dressing him in a ceremonial suit, put him in the airlock and throw him out into outer space. Realizing that Gavin sacrificed his life for a reason, but to motivate them to act, Hannah is going to fix ICAR. But Dr. Krylov admits that he lied. The life support system is self-sufficient, and there is no need for 3 people. They will not die if they stay on the station. And Gavin's sacrifice, whose body floats in lifeless weightlessness above the planet, was in vain. In the next scene, Hannah and Krylov are playing on the station with a little girl of about 5 years old. Hannah puts her daughter to bed, but she waits for her mother to fall asleep and goes for a walk. The girl finds an old radio. Putting on headphones, she hears a childish voice of the earth. Her new friend asks if she is allowed to play outside, because in the south, the toxic fog has already passed, and children can run around outside. The final shots show Hannah and Gavin's daughter approaching the porthole, where the Earth is visible. But instead of the early evening dawn, a clean blue ball is visible, free of the poisonous red infection. This is where the film ends.